Well, hello there and welcome to another Doug the Gardener video snapshot. In this video I will be looking at the genus Camellia, an evergreen shrub or small tree which, to be honest, it's one of my favourite plants. After all, who cannot be thrilled when the first camellia flowers start to appear in our gardens? Surely it tells us that spring has arrived and hopefully, although in the UK you can never be too sure about it, that the worst of winter is behind us. Although we here in the UK associate camellias with being a hardy garden plant, camellias are found growing wild in a huge range of countries from Thailand all the way up to Japan. However, it is thought that the greatest concentration of wild species is actually in China. The shaded area in this map shows very approximately where camellias are found growing in the wild. In fact, one of the most important camellias of all time comes from China, Camellia sinensis, and it's the tea plant from which your daily cup of tea, whether green unfermented, as in this picture, or black fermented, comes from. It is estimated that tea from Camellia sinensis has probably been refreshing the human palate for some 5,000 years. At one time, China grew the only tea in the world, with exports of the plant themselves banned. However, eventually a few plants were smuggled out of the country and into India. And as you are no doubt aware, a lot of tea now comes from areas of India where the camellia plant grows quite happily, especially in the slightly cooler mountainous regions such as the Western Ghats mountain range. Although not popular in Europe, oil extracted from the fruits of some camellia species can be used either for cooking or even as a much prized hair oil. Camellias in the UK tend not to set fruit, and if they do, it is only very occasionally in exceptionally warm summers. So the name Camellia has a slightly strange origin. Originally there were two names for the genus, Thea and Camellia. The Swedish botanist Carl Linnaeus, who developed binomial nomenclature for plants, came up with the genus name Camellia, and he named it after a Moravian Jesuit missionary, George Joseph Camel, and he was a greatly respected botanist living in the Philippines. Camel probably never got to see any camellia plants in his lifetime, although they bear his name. In 1935, the two different genera, Thea and Camellia, were united under the name Camellia, and it is thought that Camellia sinensis was included at this point. Sinensis means of Chinese origin. So, a hugely diverse range of plants ranging from the very tender to extremely hardy depending on their origin. Most of the plants in cultivation in the UK, Europe and other colder countries tend to be from mountainous regions in China and Japan, such as Camellia japonica, its cultivars and varieties. And if you're not too sure about how we name plants, genus, species, etc., please watch my video on binomial nomenclature. It doesn't explain all there is to know about the Latin naming of plants, but at least it gives you an idea as to how we arrive at some of the names. So, the two types of camellias favoured by gardeners in the cooler countries in the world. One is Camellia japonica, japonica meaning from Japan, and the other is the Williams series developed by J.C. Williams from Camellias Castle in Cornwall. And he crossed Camellia saluensis from China with Camellia japonica to give us what is now a vast range of hardy camellia cultivars, which are sold under the name Camellia Cross Williamsi hybrids. These include some of our most popular varieties, such as Camellia Cross Williamsi St. Hugh and Camellia Cross Williamsi Donation. These hardy camellias flower prolifically over a very long period, have excellent glossy green foliage, and very importantly to the nursery trade, start to produce flowers at a very early age, whereas some camellias are a little bit shy and don't flower until they're really well established. So you've taken a visit to your local garden centre or nursery and have selected a plant you like, very probably in full flower, but where do you plant it? Well, if you live in alkaline chalky soil, you will struggle, as all camellias are ericaceous, and that means that they require a neutral to acidic soil. Soils which are alkaline will just eventually kill your precious plant off unless you plant it with plenty of ericaceous compost in your border and keep acidifying the soil every year. Or I'm afraid the only other option is, if you want to plant it in a pot, once again using specialist ericaceous compost. So before planting any camellia, or indeed any ericaceous plant such as rhodies, pyrus, etc., check the pH of your soil using a pH test kit. They're not very expensive and are readily available from most garden centres and nurseries. Most camellias are perfectly happy in pots, although in extremely prolonged cold winters, you should probably move them to a sheltered spot in the garden where the plant, and in particular its roots, are protected from really low temperatures. Alternatively, insulate the pot well, thereby preventing the roots from getting frost damaged. Make sure that the pot drains well, as a combination of waterlogged soil and frost will almost certainly kill off all of your precious plants, not just camellias. So raise your pots off the ground by sitting them in pot feet. This aids better drainage. Camellias do prefer a woodland situation with light dappled shade. However, in most modern gardens this is relatively impossible. Nearly all will grow quite happily in any aspect, north, south, east or west, as long as they are not in deep shade. Camellias which are planted in an open aspect can sometimes suffer from petal scorch. And this is when frost settles in the open petals overnight and the morning sun, magnified by frost crystals, burns the delicate petals, turning them brown. It doesn't cause any long-lasting damage, and it won't affect any tightly closed buds nearby, but will spoil any flowers which are open. So, although not a major issue, if you have a site which avoids the early morning sun landing in the open flowers, so much better. Another problem which can be exacerbated by a particular planting situation is bud drop. Not a common problem, but it used to be a regular question asked by customers in the garden centre. Their camellias would look healthy all winter and early spring, covered in buds, but suddenly the buds will start to drop. What causes this? The most likely reason is lack of water. Quite often customers plant the camellias up against a house wall or even a fence, and depending which direction the wall faces or the fence faces, the border under the eaves could be in a rain shadow area. And that is when the plant is situated under the eaves of a house, or as I say, in the shelter of a fence, and any rain falling doesn't reach the plant roots, as shown in this diagram. So let's have a look at a few more of my favourite camellias. What else can you do with camellias? You could always try bonsai, the art of miniaturizing plants originally from Japan, but even with some slightly more lax growing varieties, grow them in a hanging basket. And how about pruning? Well, not too much really, except for young plants, which should be pruned to encourage a nice shape, either as a standalone plant or up against a wall or fence. Just remember, if you prune any spring flowering plant, whether it's a camellia, rhododendron, etc. in winter, then you are more than likely cutting off shoots which carry flower buds. These will have formed in shoots late summer or early autumn, so as I said, only prune if really necessary. So how about pests and diseases? Well, vine weevil is probably the biggest pest problem, causing unsightly rounded notches on the outside edge of leaves. They do seem to enjoy evergreen plants in particular. The female vine weevil lays eggs in leaf litter, compost, or even nooks and crannies nearby, such as under slabs. However, it's not just the adults which cause problems, as once hatched young larvae, shown here, burrow into the soil or compost and start chomping roots, especially of young plants. In containers, you can easily control the larvae by either using chemical controls such as this one, which you dilute in water in, or if you wish to go organic, use nematodes, and these come in a pack like this sent through the post, and they have to be fresh, and if you do decide to keep them, you've got to store them in the fridge. Following the instructions carefully, mix a substrate which contains the nematodes with water, put it in a watering can and water it into the soil or compost. But remember, it only works above 10 degrees centigrade, so the soil has to be relatively warm. Remember, if you kill the larvae, of course you're controlling the adults. Another pest which can be a minor problem are aphids, and these usually occur in the form of green fly. These only tend to affect young growth, especially during warm, hot summers, or if the plant is kept indoors. Well, that's pretty much it regarding pests and diseases of camellias. There are one or two others which may cause problems, but they're quite rare. So there we have it, the camellia, stunning in flower, fairly easy to grow with few problems, and as I said at the beginning of this video, a welcome reminder to us gardeners that summer is just around the corner. So thank you very much for watching this Doug the Gardener video. I hope that you found it interesting and informative, so bye for now. Take care and enjoy your garden.